Hi guys, this is Nicole here at Harmonious Hippie. Tonight we're going to do a relaxing mix between yin and restorative. Restorative yoga is typically a slower, more I would say ground-based yoga. It's heavily propped, just to really bring you back into a place where you can really sit with your breath, really relax, loosen out those muscles. And a yin practice, where our yang practice would be our fiery vinyasa, flows and hatha yoga, that kind of thing. With our yin practice, what we want to do is, instead of using the muscles to hold us, we want to line up and have the bones and our steady foundation holding us so that we can stay in poses for a lot longer of a period, while not straining the body, but allowing gravity to assist us in deepening the poses. Now, a lot of the time, this is a little bit confused, that people think that yin is going to be just chill. This is not always the case. If you're somebody like me who has tighter hips, I find sitting in a hip opener like pigeon pose for quite a lengthy period of time, I actually find a lot of anger rising. So yin, I find, is actually quite helpful in bringing the attention inwards, really working with your mind and your emotions, seeing what's coming up to the surface and breathing through it. So the idea with yin is that you may do only 5 poses in an hour-long class, but you want to stay in each pose for a lengthy period of time and really drop in, notice what's going on, and try to stay in the pose for as long as you can. With this in mind, a lot of people want to come to their 100 in a pose right away, because I mean, I'm flexible enough. I can put my elbows straight down on the floor in dragonfly pose. But if that is something that is quite intense, since we're going to be staying for quite a while, you want to come to something a little gentler initially, and then as the pose sits, then you might want to drop down and deepen into your posture. So this is just going to be a nice relaxing flow of a yin mostly class, but with some elements of restorative, just so that we can really prepare for bed, loosen up the body, think through our emotions, and feel a little bit more grounded for sleep. This is heavily propped, so if you have some props that you can bring with you, I've lit some candles, I've dropped the lights down lower just to really sink into that space. I've also got blocks, if you can have 2 blocks with you, or something that you can use as a block, for example, a stack of heavy books, something like that, a stack of pillows. You typically want something a little bit harder for blocks, and that also can hold not your entire body weight, but quite a bit. So you can think of like a Tupperware container or something like that. It might not quite be strong enough. So try to find something that you can use as a block. I've also got my standard folded up blanket for under the knees, and I have brought my body pillow here that I've just folded in half. You can also use a thick pillow from your bed, maybe 2. Just have as many props as possible with you, and if you don't use them all, then fine, but at least you're not getting up in the middle of practice to go and grab those. Also, you can have a drink of water with you, maybe some tea, something relaxing. Because of obviously music rights, I won't be playing any music for you through this class. So if you would like to use your own device to play some music, you can do that as well. And just really relax into it. So I'll give you a minute to gather your props and let's get started. Okay guys, coming to our mats in a comfortable seat, Sukhasana, crossing the legs. If your knees are quite a bit higher than your hips, you want to come to a pillow, a couple of pillows, perhaps a block, whatever's going to give you that anterior tilt to the pelvis so that you can begin to relax the knees downwards and not have such a strain on your hips. Just comfortably sitting here. I'm going to start lighting some Palo Santo. You can light some Palo Santo, incense, sage, and this just clears out negative energy, brings in positive energy. Palo Santo smells delicious. It is a wood, so you'll get it in a little stick from any holistic store, incense stores, that kind of thing, where you would find sage bundles. And it's got that woody campfire smell, but with a little bit of sweet on it as well, so it's quite nice. And I just like to cleanse the area before we get started, just so that when I'm breathing deeply throughout my practice, I'm bringing in that good positive energy. Ensuring if you do have candles and such around you that you're mindful when we roll over into supine positions. Spreading out the arms, obviously you want to make sure, maybe open the eyes really quick and check that you're not going to knock over a candle or something like that. So we're going to start in our cross-legged position, hands coming to the knees. Since we're doing a more relaxing grounding practice, let's bring our palms face down on the knees. Rolling the shoulders up and back. Spine is long, growing taller from the crown of your head, and closing down the eyes. Coming to your breath here. Observing your breath. Not trying to change anything or deepen the breath. Just noticing what's happening here today in this practice. Perhaps the tempo of your breath is quite short. Over the course of our day, that can tend to happen if we're not breathing as mindfully. So just recognizing that. Tuning into our anchor point, the place in the body where you most feel the breath. This could be the nostrils, the throat, the chest, or the belly. Again, no wrong answers here, no judgment, just finding that place and drawing your attention there, observing the breath coming in and out. Bringing your attention into the body, feeling it as one whole piece together. What's the general feeling that you have in your body right now? Are you holding a lot of stress? Is there a lot of tightness, exhaustion, sadness, happiness? Do you feel light and loose? Or is there heaviness there? Take a couple cleansing breaths here. So this is going to be a deep inhale through your nose. Hold the breath at the top for a slight second, just noticing the space in between the breaths. And then opening the mouth and sighing, exhaling, letting something go. So deep inhale through the nose. Holding the breath for a moment at the top. And opening the mouth, let something go. Twice more, breathing deeper, suspending the breath, and opening the mouth. Let's do one final cleansing breath here. Make it the loudest, most releasing breath yet. Deep inhale. Holding the breath and opening the mouth, sighing out your day. Exhale. Open. And we're going to come into our first pose today, which is going to be child's pose. Like I said previously, we are going to heavily prop here so that this can be as comfortable as possible. So coming down off of whatever props you have for your easy seat, I have tender knees, so I like to bring a folded up blanket under my knees. So place that and then bring your pillows, bed pillows, right underneath you. A little bit tight up into where your knees are so that you can lay down across your pillow. And instead of having our heads down and suffocating in our pillows, we're going to turn our heads to the side, and I will let you know when you can move your head. And you can come and hug your pillow comfortably, not holding on anywhere. Come to a place where you can really release and let go. If you need more support in this, you can always grab one of your blocks, stack more pillows. I'm gonna stick a block under here just so I get that little bit more height so I can fully drape and collapse my body over this pillow here. So coming to a comfortable place with that, wiggling around, getting yourself comfortable, seeing where you can stay for an extended period of time. If you do still want to extend the arms a little bit, just not keeping them active, let the elbows come down, relaxing everywhere. So bringing your ear down to a side that feels comfortable. I'll let you know when we can switch. Relaxing into the pose here, dropping in. And coming to your breath here. Noticing if there's anywhere that you feel like is stuck or might have some tension still. And energetically send your breath to that spot in your body. Visualize your breath swirling around and loosening that little bit of stuck tension or emotion. Keeping your breath in through the nose and out through the nose. This will keep your parasympathetic nervous system switched on. This is particularly important in yin postures, as that fight or flight, being engaged in these poses where we could be sitting with a little bit of discomfort or intensity. We want to have our parasympathetic nervous system switched on so that fight or flight goes away and we can more readily deal with the intensity of a long hold. Dropping in, relaxing down. If at any time you notice that you are too propped and you want to come a little bit deeper, you can just very slowly, very softly come up and remove a prop or two so that you can sink farther into that pose, releasing down, letting go. About halfway now, so gently lifting your head if it was turned to one side and releasing it to the other. Moving slowly and gently throughout this practice. And sinking back down. Feeling your body held by the floor. Deeply relaxing here. In these yin positions, it might be nice to practice your Ujjayi breath. This is a pranayama practice that is very helpful through a yin style class as well as any other vinyasa styles you may do. What this is the oceanic breath. So think of tightening your throat or closing off the back of your throat so that you begin to have a very audible, oceanic sounding breath. So you'll feel it as if you've constricted the throat into a bit of a straw. So you'll inhale. So even though the mouth is still closed here and you're breathing through the nose, perhaps your partner or neighbor next to you on the mat will be able to hear the subtle sounds of your breath. And the Ujjayi pranayama can really help you tune back into your breath and stay very present with it throughout the practice. So just play with that. Notice it with curiosity, no judgment. You want them to still be within reach. And we're going to come and sit down in Dandasana, staff pose. Apologies. Just grabbing my clock here so I can make sure that we're at the right time. So coming down into a seated position. Now in a typical Hatha or Vinyasa class, we will have active legs, the toes flexing up towards the face, staying very active and straight in our spine. For this class, we're going to relax in. If you feel that your legs are falling too far out, you can bring a strap around the feet if that's a little bit more comfortable for you, just to hold those feet together, or even around the legs, just making sure that you stay away from the knees. You don't want to ever be bringing anything onto your knee joints, potentially causing pressure there. So what we're going to do here is we are going to grab our pillows and bring those in close to the body. Again, you still want to come up. You don't want to have any sinking into your lower back here. You do want to come up quite straight. But you can release the feet just to sit comfortably and get your pillow tucked in. And just like with child's pose, we're going to start to sink over our pillows. If you would like, you can have your head turned to the sides, or I like to bring a block here, which I will then put my blanket over, as I have those cork blocks that are a little bit hard. So I'll just bring my folded blanket up over the edge of my block, and that way I can lay down with my forehead on the block and still be able to breathe freely. So starting to sink forward over your block, over your pillows, just wiggling around here, taking whatever movement that you need to get yourself comfortable. I'm gonna tuck my blanket in around my feet here to hold them straight up. But you can let them fall out to the sides as well, that's fine. There we go, so just getting comfortable here. Settling in and leaning down into your pose. Once you find your pose, just staying here and letting your body release into the pose. Your breath. Again, noticing what your props feel like. If you do want to come deeper into the pose after a little while, remove some props or lower some props, feel free to do so. But as we'll be here for about 2 minutes, you want to just really get comfortable and not be in a place where you're really working and really sore here. So just coming to a place where you're comfortable and slowly leaning in deeper. Left in this pose. So again, if you want to come a little bit deeper, now would be the perfect time to do so. Perhaps removing a pillow if you have more than one. And breathing into this new shape that you've created. Tuning in with your body, staying very present, noticing the difference between sensation and pain, always backing away from any quick, almost stabbing pains, that where you can feel right away that you've come too far, just immediately backing away from that. Whereas with the sensation, sit with that. It's quite intense. Send your breath into it. And just notice what's happening with that, with your emotions. Slowly coming back up. Removing those props. We are going to come into butterfly pose here, which is a nice hip opener. So similar to Sukhasana, easy pose, like we started at the beginning of the class, but you're going to bring the soles of the feet together. My floor is a little hard, so I'm going to bring a blanket underneath my feet, just so that the bones on the sides of my feet aren't pressing in too harshly on the ground. Now, in this position, again, you want to make sure you're not sinking into your back. You want to come forward first before you sink and release your body down. Grabbing your pillows again, and just laying those in the center here. Finding what's comfortable. If you need to add something, again, like with our forward fold that we just did, we can bring a block with the head too. Or you can do opposite ears, whatever feels the most comfortable there. Again, if you need a bit more support, you can tuck your block, maybe some more pillows, and just see what that height feels like for you. Try to relax down, see how that feels, see if it's comfortable. I already feel the need that I'm gonna need quite a bit of support in this position. So I'm just gonna bring an extra block here for under my head. Now, noticing as we start to sink into this, you want to have the heels a little bit farther away from the body than you normally would, in a bit of a diamond shape, just so that you can sink a little bit deeper into the hips and that you're not pulling on anything. So just beginning to sink down, noticing what feels different. In forward folds, a lot of the time, anything that releases in the lower back, this can bring up quite a bit of emotion, which is standard, it's totally fine. In a typical yoga class, we might feel a little awkward, getting emotional and potentially crying or something like that, which is the nice thing about practicing at home, is that you're able to release whatever you feel the need to. I have cried in a forward fold many a time myself, which doesn't even necessarily come from a place of sadness. It's just that emotional release that you'll notice coming up and that you will want to just let go of and release. So coming down into this pose now, releasing in, just noticing what comes up. Sending the breath into the lower back. Feeling your emotions moving around with your breath. Becoming comfortable here and relaxed. Releasing those hips out. Breathing deeply. Perhaps coming to that Ujjayi breath. Really tuning in, feeling that breath caressing your throat. Just relaxing down. Perhaps you're starting to feel some sensation in the back of the glutes. Just breathing into that space and letting it go without any judgment, just releasing. busy or distracted. No judgment, just bring your attention back to your breath, letting the thoughts float away. Slowly bringing yourself back up, moving the props again. Going to come into another hip opener here. We are going to come into pigeon pose. This posture can be quite intense on the hips, so you want to make sure that you do have props available just to make it a little bit more accessible and ensure that you are not feeling too much sensation that you can't stay in the posture for a little while. So I like to bring my folded up blanket underneath the back knee. We're going to start with the left leg forward. So just bringing that leg up. Try for parallel to the front of your mat, depending on your knees. My knees won't allow that, so my foot needs to come back a little bit. Whichever expression you find is totally right. So rocking up onto that hip, coming into your proud pigeon, sitting up high here, and then starting to drape the body forward. Again, not coming to your full expression of the pose right away, feeling into each little step. Now here, if that left hip is not down, you can grab a block and just tuck that under that hip. If that's too high, you can grab a pillow and tuck that under. You can always bring a block under your elbows here. But always making sure, especially in yin, that you are stacked just so that you can be held by the bones. So ensuring that your elbows are under your shoulders and that you're not sinking into your shoulders. You do still want to hold some integrity in the pose and start to release the head slightly. So please make sure you're breathing here. It will really help you to be able to stay in the postures a little bit longer. Just letting gravity sink your hips down towards the ground. Being very mindful here of what's coming up with these intense posture. Just breathing deeply. Following your breath. Feeling your hips sinking down. We're about halfway through this position now. So if you would like to come a little bit deeper into the posture, only if that feels comfortable for you, you can do so, perhaps lowering the head onto the hands, or coming all the way down into sleeping swan. If you are coming into a more intense version of the posture, noticing what changed immediately with the new level of intensity here. Are you still breathing deeply? seconds left in this pose. So just seeing if you can let something else go here. Drop in just a little bit more. And slowly starting to come back up. Leaning onto that left hip and drawing the right leg around. Moving the props. We can extend those legs out in front of us. Give them a little shake out. And then we're going to reset our props to repeat that on the other side. So extending the left leg behind you and bringing the right shin to about parallel with the front of your mat. We're going to roll up onto that left leg, right hip. Adjusting the leg, finding where is comfortable, having your props close to you, coming up into proud pigeon first, and then releasing down, bringing those props under the hips wherever you need them, finding a similar expression on this side, noticing what feels different between the two sides. Just tuning into your breath, dropping down. If your breath is being lost amongst your thoughts, perhaps your mind is swirling, thinking about your day, thinking about work or to-do lists, wondering what you'll have to do tomorrow, if you'll be able to fall asleep tonight. Taking a deep breath here and just relaxing into the ground, into your breath, knowing that at this moment, right here, right now, there is nowhere else and nothing else that you have to be or do. You can just take this time to fully relax your body and do something that is just for you. We're a little over halfway now, so you can deepen into this posture if that feels good. Deeply breathing into any discomfort or tightness. Noticing if this more intense expression feels more or less intense than it did on the other side. Just feeling into whatever could be stirred up by this release here. Any emotions, whether feeling really great, so perhaps feeling some joy and happiness in this release, or some sadness or even anger coming up, noticing that with no judgment whatsoever, just letting it be, breathing into it. And slowly starting to draw yourself back up here, swinging that left leg around, removing all of the props, bringing the legs forward and giving those a wiggle. Perhaps rolling your ankles. Now we're coming to near the end of the practice. We're going to come into a chest opener here. This can be quite intense, so please do move slowly into the pose. And just make sure that your lower back is staying comfortable at all times here. Some people find heart openers quite uncomfortable or emotional. So just noticing whatever is coming up and making sure that you use props accordingly to make yourself comfortable, but also don't necessarily shy away from any intensity, any emotions. Just let it out. So we're going to bring our blocks or stacks of books, whatever you have that can hold the weight of the body. We're going to need 2 of these. So bringing your first block to the top of your mat at its highest point, and then your second block can come at either the medium height or the low height, depending on what your back can handle. Just a little bit away from there. Oh my goodness, I kicked my poor cat. For us ladies, we will think of bringing the block about to where your bra strap would be on the center of your back. This will be around near the tips of your shoulder blades. Just find that comfortable place with that. It will feel intense, it will widen the shoulders open, but you do want to make sure that you're not too far down so that your lower back isn't straining too much. Just finding where that's a perfect setup, and then bringing your pillow on top and just draping it over the blocks. So we may lose a little light here with my pillow. So putting that down comfortably, we're going to open up our hips a little bit as well. So bringing yourself up to where your hips are close to the end of that pillow. We're going to take our blanket, fold it in half a couple times, and then just roll it up, almost like a yoga mat. You can also use a yoga mat or towel, whatever works. And taking that little roll, placing it on top of the feet, and then we're going to bring it under the feet. I like to cross mine over each other as if I'm tying a shoelace, just to keep it a little bit tighter. This is going to keep your feet together. If you do have any tenderness in your lower back with this, please skip this step and just keep your knees up. You can bring your feet to the outer edges of your mat and let your knees fall in towards each other. But if you would like to take the hip opener as well, just getting this blanket nice and comfy, bringing the soles of the feet together so that you can release the knees out and have that comfy little pillowing under your ankles while also holding your feet together. So starting to sink back, finding your blocks. Again, making sure that you're placed on the right area. You don't want the mid-back block to be too far down to jar your lower back. And you want your upper block to be right on the base of the skull, just where it's comfortable to relax into. Letting the arms relax out, palms can come up. Breathing here, feeling the shoulders peeling open, letting the chest open to the ceiling. Closing down the eyes, tuning in with the breath. Continuing to breathe deeply here. In through the nose, down through the nose. If you got any movements or wiggles, any readjustments you need to make sure that you're in a comfortable place where you can stay for a couple of minutes. And just coming back to stillness. Relaxing the shoulders open, releasing the hips. Noticing if there's anywhere that you're clinging. Just releasing that. Releasing yourself into the floor, sinking in. twist, and then we'll move into Shavasana. So opening the arms out wide to a T, and lifting up the knees to about a 90-degree ankle, or angle, whichever one is more comfortable, I guess. And starting to let the knees drop over to the right. As this is a restorative expression of this pose, you can bring a pillow under your knees. But most importantly, you want to ensure that that left shoulder blade stays rooted into the ground. So bringing however many props under those right knees that you need to keep that left shoulder rooted. You can bring the right hand up to the knees. And gaze can stay centered. Or for an extra little stretch here, you can gaze at your left thumb. Breathing deeply into your belly, seeing how different it feels now that your body is twisted. Letting the spine ring out from your day. Slowly inhaling the head back to center, followed by the knees. We can place the feet back down, lift our hips, place those back down, just to make sure that our hips are set here. And extending the arms out to the sides again, bringing the knees up, and beginning to drop the knees over to the left. Again, rooting through that right shoulder blade. If you want to bring a prop, a pillow, blankets, under your knees, you can go ahead and do so. Left arm can come to the knees, gaze can stay up, or gaze can look over to your right thumb. Again, a deep belly breath. Feeling that twist, wringing out your spine. Back to center, followed by the knees. We can place our feet down about mat width apart. Just windshield wiper the knees very, very slowly and gently here. Just releasing out the lower back. Now coming into Shavasana. If you have your pillows close by, you can tuck them up under your knees. You can put a block under each knee, just to keep your lower back flattened down along the earth, letting the feet fall open, tucking the shoulder blades under slightly so that the chest rolls open, hands come out to the sides, palms up, letting the fingers curl in slightly. Just taking a moment here to notice how you are cradled by the earth, sinking deeper down with each breath. Finding your anchor point again here. Just observing your breath there. Notice if there's more space on your inhale than there was at the beginning of class. down to the ground. Just releasing everything from your day, everything from your practice, just letting it all go. Keeping your focus lightly tuned to the breath. You can use a mantra. On your inhale, I am, and on your exhale, relax. Inhale, I am. Relax. Just taking this time here to truly rest. Knowing that you are always, always supported. Not only just by the earth, but by your body as well. So sending your breath first into your legs and your feet, swirling around the ankle joints and the knees, drawing up into your hips and your glutes. With your next breath, just sending that breath down again, sending with it a feeling of appreciation, acceptance, marveling at the strength of your legs, your lower body, carrying you through your days, every day, always. Sinking the breath down into the belly, swirling around in the lower back, beginning to rise up into your chest and your heart space, into the upper back, shoulders. And with your next breath, sending love and kindness downwards. The trunk is a very common place where people might typically send judgment of themselves. Just marveling at the fluidity of your body moving with your breath, belly just softening. Just thanking this part of your body for always being able to carry strength and also always carrying softness. You may want those six-pack abs. You may want to always be harder, perhaps closing off even your heart. Just breathing here and noticing the gentle softness of this area. For women, housing life. Perhaps you've done so and you've gained a little bit of extra softness in the belly that you have sent judgment to. Just marveling at the just incredible ability of the body to create another body and then to heal from that. Sending a thank you down into the belly for supporting that incredible journey. Sending a thank you down with your next breath into the heart, deep into your heart space. throat, into your headspace. Noticing what's happening in the face. Are there any muscles being held on here? You release the little muscles around the eyes, letting the eyeballs drop heavy into their sockets. Taking your next breath and letting it deeply flow throughout your entire body, your entire being. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beginning to deepen the breath. Bringing tiny movements into the fingers and toes. Perhaps rolling the wrists and the ankles. And reaching the arms up overhead, stretching out the body. Perhaps letting out a sigh or a yawn. Slowly, gently bringing the knees up. And rolling over to your right side into the fetal position. You can use the right arm as a pillow. Just relaxing here for a moment. And keeping the eyes closed down or light. Using that left hand to begin to push you up. Coming into your comfortable seat. Hands coming back to the knees. Tuning in with the body, noticing what's shifted and moved here. We're going to take some cleansing breaths like we did at the beginning of the practice. Inhaling through the nose, suspending the breath for a moment, and then opening the mouth and exhaling with a sigh. So deep inhale, gathering up any leftover stress from your day. Inhale. Holding that breath for a moment. And let it out. Exhale. Again, deep inhale through the nose. Suspending the breath. Sipping in just a tiny bit more. And opening the mouth. Exhale. This time we're going to deeply inhale through the nose. But we're going to exhale with an feeling the vibration of that throughout our chest and our head. Perhaps smiling. Inhaling deeply through the nose. And hands come to Anjali Mudra, heart center. Feeling the thumbs pressing into the sternum, perhaps feeling the heartbeat. Head coming to a gentle bow here. Honoring yourself and honoring your body. You have made it through beings everywhere be happy and free. The light in me honors, acknowledges, and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me.